So guys, welcome to today's session. So I'm going to move on from the session on Monday, which was on raising our standards, the art of stretching, always setting new goals, and what other else inappropriate mindset waffle decided to export itself from my head to its mouth and into the world of this training session on Monday. So just a quick one for you guys as well. So when I posted about me doing the run on Saturday, everyone is welcome, but please stop overcomplicating it. I'm going to put an event up in the Facebook group today. I will be there at 8:30 and I will be starting at 8:30. My run for that day is very simple, as I posted. I've got 5 sets of 6 kilometers, and every time I complete 6 kilometers, which I'll aim to do in around about 45 to 50 minutes, which is a fairly slow pace, I will then be walking for 15 minutes, taking on a very small amount of food and some water before going into my next 6-kilometer set, and I will repeat that 5 times. You can come and do 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, 5 sets. You can come on a bike, a helicopter, a hang glider, bring your parents, bring your kids, anything at all. Just don't overcomplicate it. I'll be there from 8:30. We can have a chat, anything at all. But my run will be strictly sticking to that structure. Most people will be able to keep up with that structure. Remember, that's kind of the exact structure that I'm going to be attempting to keep going for 60 hours, which is why I'm training and conditioning the body to do that. So even if you came and run and did a 1 mile or a 2 mile, or you did 1 lap, or you come and did one of the walk bits, like don't stress about, like, a lot of people do this, and this is a little bit of coaching for everything in life. Like, we create our own stress, right? I've planned another training on stress. Like, think about, oh God, what time do I need to be there? Where am I going to park? How am I going to be able to do it? Just get there for 8:30. If you get there for 9, wait until we come round on the next lap. If you get there to 10, 11, 12, I'll be there for 4 hours. Don't stress yourself out, overcomplicate it, think that that's something that you have to stick to. Lindsay is confused. No, I'm definitely not coming Thursday morning as well. This is Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. main car park. Number 1 job after this is I'll do a Facebook event with all the details. So moving on for this goal setting, this setting new standards, chasing new goals, raising the bar, the art of stretching. Let me just turn that chat off. There we go. Or Luke Birch starts distracting me with some mid-training banter. So it's powerful, right? And we discussed finishing on not only setting new goals, raising the bar, new standards, things that force us out of our comfort zone, but also dates and deadlines. That's what I finished talking about. So this is critical. So even like my list today, I need to film a reel for Amy. I need to plan Friday's training on USM. I've got 4 leads to follow up on signature service. I need to send an email. I need to cherry pick UB90 reach outs. I need to do some work on my LinkedIn page. I need to book in removals when I move house, and I need to move my contents insurance. So that's just a small list that I've got today, but I've had to strip that out, what's most important, and look at deadlines and dates when that needs to be done. So whether that's your small little list today or your longer term list of big goals, like the Marathon des Sables or running 200 miles, everything really needs a date and a deadline. Because if not, we fall straight back into someday, tomorrow, when the weather's right, when I have the headspace, when things settle down, and start making up all these reasons to not do the thing that we need to do to move forward. So deadlines and dates are powerful. Now, in order to now move on and smash these goals that we've set, these big things that we're going to work on that raise our standards and move us forwards and stretch us to reach our true potential, because you wouldn't be listening to this if not. So on self-reflection, what else do we need to make this happen? Well, very often one of the most powerful things in the world you can do is make them not about you. Tony Robbins didn't set out to be the world's biggest personal development mindset guy and make multi-millions of pounds. He had a gift and he set out to have an impact on people because he was passionate about it. So again, it's not about, we become so egocentric rather than ethnocentric. You've heard me discuss this before. So again, the 200 miles as an example, when we do the Goggins 4-4 challenge together, for very different reasons. That's going to be for Jason. That's going to be for Youth Cancer Trust. When the 200 miles, it's actually, I'm doing it for a charity that is in Nottingham called Footprints, that helps neurodiverse children or children with neurological problems to walk again. So I'm doing it for a little boy called Alfie, who's got leukemia. He's a proper warrior. He's a fighter. He's one of my friend's sons. And I just think it fits so beautifully with the fact that the charity is actually called Footprints. So again, that's just an example of, all of a sudden, it's not about the 200 miles. It's not about the ego. It's not about the, oh my God, can I run that far? Making everything about other people is the most powerful thing we can do. And I've been on so many calls over the years when I've done, everything from suicide and counseling calls, from suicide prevention upwards, okay? And the client will come on and they will just relentlessly talk about how they feel, what's not working for them, what they're suffering with, what they keep going through, what the problem is every day, the reactions that they're having, what they can't let go of, and just go on and on and on and on. And I have to sometimes turn it quite empathetically. But, one lady just a few weeks ago, I said, God, have you ever thought about just, and you have to be very cautious with a person who's low saying this. And I just said, with respect, have you ever thought about stopping making everything about you? And her face just dropped. And I went, all you've talked about is you, your problems, your struggles. I went, imagine if you went on a little bit of a mission. So this situation that's happened, it's also happened to your parents and your family as well. Imagine if you just started focusing on supporting your mum and dad through it a little bit more, checking in on people, seeing who else you can help. And it was like an epiphany for her. She was like, almost like went from offended to, wow, light bulb straight away. And again, you see some people do this very well. Some people can do it to the detriment too far the other way. So there might be, for instance, a family death or a family catastrophe. It's a great word, isn't it? Crisis is probably a better word. And they become so embroiled on being strong for everybody else. I think we've all done this as well, that they never actually deal with the situation themselves until they have a complete meltdown. So you do have to be a little bit careful with this emotionally. But again, if you're kind of a little bit lost in your own head, lost in your feelings today, think about, what could I do for other people? What can I do to help others? What can I do to inspire people today? Who could I support? Who could I maybe reach out to that's struggling that I could help, rather than just draining my own head with nothing apart from thoughts about my own struggles? Because this was where this person was. Honestly, like 100% of her thoughts were about her and how she was struggling. Not one single thought about anyone else or anything. And it can be an incredibly grounding way to move forward. I've told the story about many times about when I first met Jason. I was in that place a little bit myself, self-pity, struggling, moaning, blaming, complaining, justifying. And then all of a sudden I'm on a call with someone who's just had basically his entire family murdered. And again, it's like, wow, I need to help this person, right? I need to go into this mode. And I went from this emotional place of all about me, my feelings, my emotions, my struggles, my life, what's going wrong, who's not serving me, the mistakes that had happened and whose faults they were, even though I'm responsible for everything that happens in my life. And I went into help, impact, inspire, love, support. See how it's a completely different place. So, one of the biggest things with goals and life in general, try and sometimes get up in the morning and journal and think, what can I do to help other people? Jan, you're incredible with this, with the stuff you do with everything from the PTSD to the dogs to the other people. And then every week on Jan's check-in, she's like, it cracks me up because she's like, so and so's given her a full venison, and then someone's given her like other pheasants, and someone's given her this, and someone's given her that. And but can you see how it's just reciprocal and mirrored? Because they didn't just give them out of randomness; they give them the people give in return for being given to, but when it's given without expectation. So it's the age-old fallacy. If you buy someone a pint because you want them to buy you a pint back, you're buying the pint for the wrong fucking reasons. But how many times do you hear people say, "Oh, so never gets his round in"? Don't buy him a drink then. If you only bought someone a drink because you thought you were going to get one back, your head is mashed because you are literally saying, "I will only do anything in life if there is a payoff for me." And that's when the universe will keep giving you a big reminder that the world doesn't work that way and you won't get that payoff. So take that away and think, how can I help? This is why it's on the planner. That big black thing we're supposed to fill in every day. Gratitude message. I talked about it at Mindset Mastery. Gratitude message. Who needs me to show up for them today and why? So the amount of people and it can be right sometimes, but the amount of people that actually just put on that me, and that shows how egocentric they've become. Now, I've never answered me to that question. It's always Logan. It's Logan every single day. Who needs me to show up to him as well? Logan. Because it grounds me. Okay. So it's so much more powerful when you do anything in life for other people, even your own goals, rather than doing it yourself. And why is that? Because when you're doing it, you're doing it from a place of love, you're doing it from a place of abundance, and you're doing it from a place of inspiration. And when you have inspiration, you don't need motivation. I've said that so many times over the year. When I'm inspired, I'm on fire. I don't need motivation. I don't need an alarm clock. I don't even really need a goal because I'm inspired. So you're operating from a place of love, gratitude, certainty, abundance, not a place of desperation. I'm only going to give this if I get this in return. Whether it's emotional stuff down to love, or right through to kind of what we need to do for our goals. So when we can get to a position where we understand there is more to life than just us, but so many of us either slip in and out of or get locked into everything is all about me, my past, my feelings, my goals, my misgivings, my mistakes, me. And we have to understand that one of the best ways to free your own brain is to just focus on giving, but giving from a heart that is full without expectation and helping others, because helping off people get what they want, trust me, the world is going to give you what you want. If all you focus on is what you want, you'll kind of operate from a beggy, reactive, I'd call it a red place. I'm just constantly trying to get, and the more I try to get it's about the rabbit of success, isn't it? The more I try and get this rabbit, the more it just keeps running further and further away. Which we'll come on to that anyway, because we're going to come on to 4 emotional levels of this. So when we put the needs, real leaders put the needs of others before their own. And again, that leadership is life for me, because it begins with self-leadership. And if we can't lead our own life, how can you lead others? You can't expect to be, a great business owner, a great friend, a great employee, a great parent, a great coach, a great anything, if you can't first lead yourself. And this is what the great leaders do. And the greatest leaders are the people that get to the top of the game. They always put the needs of others before their own. Everything they do is ethnocentric, not egocentric. Egocentric people burn out. So what levels of stretching have we got? We've got physical stretching. We've got mental stretching. We've got emotional stretching. And we've got something I'm not too hot on right now, but I'm getting more into it, which is spiritual stretching. So when we start to develop a deeper meaning of who we are and why we're on this earth, again, this is what will free the emotional brain. Not money, not marathons, not success, not status. Impact from an inspired pace to help and impact. Because if we kind of neglect all these other areas, like some of the richest people in the world are the most unhappy people in the world. Look at all the, I know some of them have had drug problems and stuff, but look at all the hugely successful people who have taken their own lives. Multi-millionaires, everyone from people like, I'm trying to think of an example. There's lots of people that you would think they have made it to the very top of that ladder. And yet they went and took their own lives, because it will all become empty if we don't look after the other side. You could be an Olympic champion, but if you drink every weekend to escape your life, you've got a terrible relationship with your partner, and you can barely remember your kids' names because you've been that obsessed with your career, you're going to be totally unhappy. The gold medal is going to mean nothing if the other side isn't looked after. So for me, this is what I journaled last week. It's got to be about more than marathons, more than money, more than significance, but that still plays a part of it. So this is the kind of journey that I want to be on. So I'm kind of almost self-journaling here as well, because I now firmly believe and understand, and this was one of my Lee's epiphanies from last week, whether it's this plan, people that have already given up and quit on the 90 days, probably never even going to watch this video because they probably didn't watch video 3. People who are on Unbreakable 90 who have then quit, 2 more in the last week, and people that are on the signature service plan that then quit. Some people, it's for a very good reason. They get everything they need in 90 days and more and are happy to fly solo. Some people, it's financial, which is cool. If you can't afford to invest, you can't afford to invest. But most people, it's frustration at not getting what they wanted in the speed that they thought they were going to get it. And then they go straight into, oh, it's the plan's fault, it's Lee's fault, it's the world's fault, it's calories' fault, it's my fitness pal's fault, it's my body's fault, it's my thyroid, it's my metabolism, it's the weather. Anything else I can basically create to try and justify the fact that I didn't do the fucking work. If you're watching this and that hurts you, good. As I said, always be honest and integrity. And by not saying that to you, I would be doing you a disservice. So the reason most people quit at anything in life, can anybody guess what it is in the comments before we come on to the 3 keys, which I believe are the 3 keys to moving forward? What do you guys think the #1 reason is why people quit? This wasn't what I thought it was until last week. And it builds into what I was saying the other day. It's because they think there's a finish line. It's because they think there's an end point. It's because they forget that life is about love and connection. It's not a transaction. This is why most relationships fail. This is why I'm still single and quite possibly might be for a long time. I've had to block Amanda Holden. She's just doing my head in now. She keeps texting me. It's just too much. She's too intense. Because life needs to be about love and connection, not transactions. So most relationships, each person gets something from the other person. Might be money, might be safety, might be security, might be protection, might be filling a void, filling the loneliness. This is unfortunately the kind of timeline of most relationships now. Two depressed, lonely people meet under the influence, and I'm going off on tangent here, all of it. Meet under the influence of drugs and alcohol. They have some great sex under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and when they have an orgasm, hopefully, ladies, certainly for men, it releases the same hormone that convinces that person that they're in love. It's the same hormone. So the reality is, very often they weren't in love; they just had a great shag. Then 3-4 months down the line, very often, unfortunately for said child, on many occasions, a child is born into a relationship that was based on nothing but drug, sex, and alcohol. And then another 9 months down the line, this becomes very apparent to both couples. And unfortunately, and the stats on this are absolutely disgusting, the male then fucks off to do whatever he feels is right, leaving the mother with the child, probably seeing them every other weekend, whatever the situation ends up. It's not always that way round, but statistics prove it is. And this child is left in this broken relationship before even 1 or 2 years old. All that entire situation was created because it was a transaction from the outset. Swapping of loneliness, swapping of someone to talk to. Many people are in relationships because they don't want to be on their own. And they wonder why their relationship's unhappy, because it's not based on love and connection for me. Like, I would not get into a relationship now until it was obsession, 100% every box, not interested in anything else. Because essentially, this is what I'm talking about when it goes back to this finish line. There you go. I knew my head would come back to it somehow at some point. That was a very big circle. But we see the finish line, right? So again, this is why people either quit on the relationship, they quit on the job, they quit on the career, they quit on this plan because they think, right, I've given this thing, very often money, which is just really a vehicle of value, another transaction. So in return for giving this, I should get this. I didn't get this in the time span that I thought was acceptable. So I got angry, resentful, frustrated, and made it about someone else's fault because I had an expectation from the outset, because nothing was ever coming from a good place. So that's why they quit, because they think the finish line. And I'm here to tell you the finish line is when we die. That's it. There is no other finish line. I don't want that to sound morbid, but this is why people don't sustain growth. This is why they quit on the business. This is why they quit on their fitness goals. This is why they quit on their relationship, because it either gets too tough or they think there's an end that they can't reach. So they go into what's the point mindset. So the biggest thing that we need to understand if we want to operate from this place of abundance, and like I said, this is the journey that I want to be on. Just understand that there is no, it's back to the present of the present of now. The art of being present, or the present of right now. Because that's when you will operate from the position that you need to win, when you're just on an inspired journey. It doesn't matter. You don't care when the finish line is. There's goals that we're going to tick off along the way, but they never end. So the key to this is understanding that it doesn't work that way. Life isn't certain. You don't give money and get the body you want. You don't give love and necessarily get the love that you want, but you have to still keep giving. But if we're eventually giving from an inspired place, as I said, of abundance, not scarcity and giving to get back, this is when we'll start to enjoy the journey. As I said, the best people with the best physiques, they're not worried about what they weigh every Sunday. They're not really worried about the marathon time. They're not really stressed about the amount of miles. They're just passionate about training and being healthy and looking after themselves and inspiring other people's. The best businessmen in the world don't give a fuck about money. They're passionate about helping people and running their business, testing themselves, taking themselves to a new level. And the best people in the best relationships in the world don't expect anyone from the other person. They just respect and love them for who they are, because it's come from love and connection, not a transaction. And love and connection as well in relationships, I won't go on about this too much, but that can only really happen when both people, this is what I now understand, when both people are a 10 out of 10 on their own. Because if both people are a 6 out of 10 emotionally, physically, spiritually, they're still looking for the other person to fill that gap. This is so apparent. If you read almost anyone who's ever been on dating apps, if you read every profile, it's basically may as well say what this actually means is I'm looking for somebody else to make me feel happy because I'm unhappy. Please come and fill my void and drink alcohol with me every weekend. Here's me in my profile picture holding a glass of wine or a pint, because right now, this is the only thing that I've got in my life. Sounds brutal, but it's absolutely true. They're looking for something rather than when I can operate from an inspired place, when I can get myself, and this is for every single one of us, whether it's business, relationships, love, connection, any of those things. When you are a 10 out of 10 and you are just operating from that inspired place and your energy is off the scale, you will just attract tens all round. You will attract inspired people. If you're beggy, reactive, angry, looking for someone, chasing, you're going to attract the same thing. So it's when two people are a 10 out of 10 in any relationship, business or personal, when those two connect, bang, that's when the magic happens, because they don't need that business partner for anything. They don't need that boyfriend or girlfriend or anything. They are 100% fire on their own. So they're bringing in for choice, love, connection, and inspiration, not to fill a void that they can't fill themselves. So 3 keys. So what does it really take to raise our standards? And write these down. Number 1, inspiration. Without a shadow of a doubt. This is a quote from Peter Sage. And I absolutely love it because he's brutal sometimes. There's 2 types of people in this world. There's people who are inspired and living in an inspired life, and there are people that aren't. Case closed. It's exactly what he said. And it's so true. You're either living an inspired life or you're not. You're either an inspired person or you're not. And it's brutal the way it just went case closed. But again, when we look at this, and this is why life can become so hard, right? Because this is why you have to protect your energy. This is why peer groups and things like this and the meetups are so important, because the ratio is around about 30-1. For every one inspired, driven, focused, energetic, loving, abundant person, there's 30 fucking negats that moan, blame, complain, are just still in that headspace of everything in life is someone else's fault. Poor me, pity party, yada, 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 yada. So this is why a positive peer group is also so hard to find, because you're trying to cherry pick one person out of every 30. But again, are people born inspired? No. But everybody's born with the potential to be, but we need to create inspiration. And then when we create inspiration, we'll attract inspiration. You know, every single person is here because you've either been inspired by me or one of the results of one of my clients. That's it. So you've been drawn towards inspiration. You know, and that's real proof, and that's real evidence. You know, going back to everyone that's come into my life, like I only ran more than 1 mile because I was inspired by Marcus. So inspired individual moved towards inspired individual, and the magic happens. So you get inspired by one, getting outside of yourself, and two, dropping your ego. Because again, really, inspiration should be effortless. Egocentric people, right? Those people that think there's a finish line, those people that get pissed off when they don't get what they want, those people that think the world owns them a living, those people that are constantly looking for side hustles, the way to get there without doing the work, the path of least resistance. Okay. Ego driven people will do whatever it takes as long as it benefits them. They're selfish. I will do this if I get something from it. I will buy you a pint if you buy me one back. Inspiration people do whatever it takes without any expectation because they're operating from a different place. So get out of your own head and find inspiration. That is my number one tip that I would give you today. Number two, and again, I must credit Peter on this as well, because he taught me this. Discipline. But this is a game changer, right? Left. Discipline must come after inspiration. So many people are looking to develop motivation, confidence, discipline, willpower, results without first creating inspiration. And that is why you're screwed. That's why you keep quitting. That's why you keep messing up. Because if we're looking for discipline before inspiration, that's called willpower. Most of us don't have it. We never will. And it'll only ever last so long. If you're relying on willpower, you're screwed. And we're relying on willpower when we're trying to develop discipline habits without being inspired. Because willpower is not sustainable. Willpower will only get you so far. And if you're lacking inspiration, you'll need motivation. If you need motivation, you're screwed and discipline will be useless. Because if you're uninspired, you will never have the discipline to see it through. The people that quit, honestly, the body you want isn't that important to you. The mindset you want isn't that important to you. Whatever it is you said you wanted on your questionnaire isn't that important to you. That's why you quit. You didn't create enough inspiration. And then you started trying to apply discipline and you realized you didn't have any because you'd not even read the plan. So you didn't have anything to be disciplined to. So then you started to rely on, oh yeah, nothing. There's nothing there because you didn't have inspiration. So the final key before I summarize this is Peter's third key and it's incredible. When I said this, I was like, what does that mean? I don't understand it. So the first key is inspiration. The second key is discipline, but discipline must come after inspiration. The final key, surrendering to purpose. Please tell me that every single one of you, the same as me, comment yes on YouTube, or if you're watching on replay, comment #replay. Or what? Please tell me you've just listened to me say that and go surrendering to purpose. What the fuck does that mean? Because that is exactly what I thought. I'm like looking at him, gone out, like, I don't know what this means. So when I do understand it now, kind of. So when you've set your inspired goal, so it's no longer 200 miles, it's 200 miles for Alfie. the little warrior. So it's inspired now. It's not about me. It's not egocentric. It's ethnocentric. Still not even sure I pronounced that word right. So I've set the inspired goal. Now discipline is easy because I've got a plan and a structure. So I've got something to be disciplined to. So I've got inspiration, I've got discipline. Why then sometimes do we still struggle? And I've made it not all about me. So what he is coaching me is, if I start to go down this, I will smash this goal no matter what, which, quote unquote, how many times in the last however many weeks since I decided to do it, have you heard Lee Freeman say, the only way I will fail this challenge is if I'm medically withdrawn? That's a fucking exhausting attitude. That's creating pressure that I don't need to forget. Now, what I've done last week and what he means by surrendering to purpose is I've just surrendered to the outcome. This is why so many addicts can't quit addiction, by the way. It's the first, I believe it's the first step in AA. Don't quote me because I've not been to AA. But I believe the first step that they coach in their 12 steps is that you have to surrender to the addiction. Most people try and fight and deny the addiction. I believe that's right. I'm not going to quote any names because I know there are people here that have been to it. That you just have to say that. I think that's the whole purpose anyway. That's the whole reasoning behind the I am Lee Freeman and I'm an alcoholic, because you surrender into fighting the I'm not, and you just go in, I'm powerless to this addiction. And now I can move forward because I've surrendered to the purpose. So again, it's surrendering to the outcome of the goal. Because when I can just start to enjoy the journey, when I can just start to enjoy the training sessions, when I can just start to be inspired, irrelevant of the outcome, this is when my training is now starting to become effortless. Like last night was easy, 1200-meter sprints. Because I just didn't think too much about the times or anything. I just thought, you know what, it's just another training session on this journey. So in summary, get inspired. Going back to the last one, we were not here to be comfortable. We were here to grow and reach our true potential. We're here to learn, but we also have to put the work in. The slight bit that I wanted to journal out at the end of this was, sometimes I think when I hear other people coach this, oh, just chill out and operate from a place of abundance, or just surrender to the outcome, it can come across a little bit like wishy-washy, like, just sit there and everything will be okay and it'll pan out. I don't preach that or agree with it at all. But I would take everything away from this, what I've said today, but then apply the fact you still need to work at the relationship. You still need to do the training sessions. You still need to do whatever it is you need to do within your careers. So you need to get inspired. You need to develop discipline. The point that I'm adding in myself that isn't in these 3 keys is, I think you need to show up and do the fucking work consistently on a daily basis. And then we can go back to, as I said in the previous training, have fun with life, have fun with training, have fun with everything. Do the work, but stop forcing the outcome, which is surrendering to it. And my friends, you will start to find that you attract everything that you've wanted. You'll attract inspiration, you'll attract results, you'll attract growth, you'll attract abundance, and you'll attract the right people into your life. And as I've said, the other people, they don't matter. Guys, love you all. Have a phenomenal Wednesday, and I will upload the replay now.